Welcome home, neighbors, to episode 250 of the My DVC Points podcast. Today, we are doing a show with one of our sponsors from Danny at DVC Resale Market, and we are talking about the DVC market update for April 2023. We're a couple weeks late on this. You guys have had these out, but I've been traveling and schedules have been crazy, but this is what's been going on with April with some of our data. Some of it's a little bit more up to date than that. But in about 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have another one of these out there for May because they publish these great reports for us every month. So welcome to the show, Danny from DVC Resale Market.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And don't worry that we're a little bit late because I do this day in and day out. So I can really give you the most up to date.
Yes, I'm telling you, you do this all day, every day. So
all day, every day.
Yeah. So let me come back into this and let's bring into this. We're going to do a little bit of screen sharing today. And the first story that we have here is kind of the same old story that we've had for the last few months, Danny. And that is the ROFR Monster is still asleep.
Still asleep. They still have plenty of inventory. No need to buy back at the moment.
It's like they're not selling anything. Like they've got inventory. They've bought 4 Copper Creek contracts all year long, all the way up until May. And then spoiler alert, have you heard of any more coming in May?
No, nothing.
ROFR Monster.
Anything. And I don't know if it's that they aren't selling anything. Like I have some of my best friends work at Disney Direct for DVC, and they're super busy too. It's just, I just think that they bought so much inventory last year. So they just have just more than enough, plenty of inventory to go through. And they have some, big new products. They're spending a lot of money on marketing, the new resort and new resorts coming out. So yeah, they just have
this little thing dropped since our last show called the Villas at the Disneyland Hotel. Yeah, it's just a little tiny, 3-point-something million points that they've got to sell over there. So I would imagine their
dollars of marketing.
Yeah, I would imagine their whole sales team has kind of got their eye on that one. And since the whole DVC community has been waiting with this, it's been like 12 years since we've had a Disneyland resort. Only the second one. I think it's just kind of taken the world by center stage.
Absolutely.
Because I know I bought some points direct from them since we've last recorded. And normally by the time you hang up the phone, you've got the points in your account. I think I had to wait till the next day. So they're definitely slammed and busy over there. It's not that they're not selling. I have a theory that we'll get to, and maybe you can prove me or disagree with me later on in the show. But my theory is with all of the all boats kind of rise deal, and with all of the news cycle we've got going on about the new villas in Disneyland, it's got people looking at it and questioning, well, maybe I'll save some money on resale because we've got a lot of hype going, and I think people are double checking their facts, and I think that's pulling over to the resale market.
It's so interesting how it works. I worked direct for many years, and now I'm on the resale side. I've sold thousands of contracts, and I've also helped people sell so many contracts, both direct and resale. And it's always so interesting how things play out when a new resort comes out, because what you hear from guests before it gets announced and before, it goes on sale, it tends to be very different from what actually plays out and what actually happens. Because with education and just the more research and the more information Disney gives us, things kind of take a change. And so I think you have a very split audience. You have those people who just, all they wanted was that Disneyland tower, and they're going to buy it no matter what doesn't matter what you tell them, they're going to get it. And that's why my friends over at Disney Direct have been super slammed, and they are selling a lot of points for that new resort. But we also got super busy as well.
Yeah, that's
because you have all those people who are like, whoa, what are these extra taxes that I'm going to have to pay that are going to go up every year? How much are those?
No parking fees over there.
Yeah, you started to discover all of these new things that you could have never expected. And so all those people who were gung-ho, I'm buying Disneyland Tower, they're like, I would actually rather pay more for Grand Cal than and buy it resale than, buy the tower. So It's been interesting, but we definitely got very busy when they made that announcement.
Yeah. So let's jump over to that as well,
Yeah.
because we've got this new question about could we be getting back to a seller's market, which is kind of the norm for DVC, because prices have started to come back in and shift. Let's take a look at those really quick here,
Yeah.
because we've got the data from your guys' latest blog post here.
Yeah.
And so we can see Animal Kingdom up a couple bucks, Bay Lake Tower up a couple, Beach Club up. Boardwalk is down $2. I'm not too concerned about that.
Pretty normal.
Pretty normal. I mean, there's a standard deviation that's in here. It could have been like a bunch of larger contracts, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when we start to see this whole trend across the entire resorts,
Yep.
Boulder Ridge up, Copper Creek up, Grand Floridian way up, 155 to 162. Old Key West up, Old Key West Extended's up $1. Polynesian's up $4. Riviera stayed flat. Saratoga dropped $1, which again, I'm not too worried about a dollar here. And then when we head on over to California and the beach resorts, Alania's up. Grand Cal was up, and I don't think we had too much influence here from the Disneyland Tower, but I know that's taken it to an all-new insane level.
Oh, you just wait until the next report comes out.
Yeah, because haven't we seen some sell for like $340 a point?
Yep, there was just a contract that sold for $340. That is, if you look, March of 23 to 340, that's almost $100 in the matter of like a month.
Like mind blown.
Yeah. So if you have Grand Cal and maybe you live on the East Coast and you don't use it as much as you thought you were going to, you're sitting on a gold mine. So take advantage of Disney spending millions of dollars on marketing, and all the hype and every YouTube channel and every blog talking about California. If you don't, you might be sitting on a small Grand Cal contract. You don't use Grand Cal as much as you thought, and you could get double the amount of points at a Walt Disney World resort.
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely positively insane. Yeah. And I kind of get it. And I went through that whole remorse period as well, because I sold off my Grand Cal knowing that the towers were coming at the Disneyland Hotel. Mm-hmm. And when all of that negative news stopped, it took the wind out of me. And eventually I got back around to coming around and saying, okay, there's no parking because, they're doing this thing called Disneyland Forward, where they're going to tear down the parking lot and make it more theme park. Ooh, I get to own a DVC property in the middle of a theme park like Grand Cal is. All of a sudden I'm in. Okay. So I kind of get it, but yet what we've seen at Grand Cal is pretty special for how that's happened. So my question here is, if prices are starting to go up by and large for the vast majority of these resorts, Danny, do you think we could be turning into the seller's market that we're all used to seeing here?
Yeah, I think we're at a really interesting time right now, because I think, in the past, what mostly drives the numbers is going to be, how's the economy doing? What's going on with Disney? What's going on with ROFR? And you'll start to see huge ebbs and flows because of those influences. And then, you always have those people who are interested in buying, and then, they hear that it's a great time to buy, but you just want to get it a little bit lower. Mm-hmm. You see that it's going down, so you wait until it's too late. And then all of a sudden it's skyrocketed again. And you're like, man, now I'm going to have to wait for that next dip. It's kind of the same thing with like the real estate market. But this is different, right? Like we're seeing different changes. And so I feel like it's not as much having to do with the economy or even that the ROFR Monster is still sleeping. Mm-hmm. I just think that because the ROFR Monster is sleeping, that's what drove the prices down. And everybody's talking about it. Like I have members who they're like, man, I've been waiting for this dip. I'm going to add 3, 4, 5 contracts. And everybody's posting about it on all the blogs, and everybody's excited about it. There's been talk about these prices for the past, 4 months? And so the word's out, ROFR Monster is still sleeping. So is it still an insane time to buy? Yeah, it is. But I think we're starting to see some changes there because one, contracts are flying. Sellers know, like, okay, I don't have to go so low. My contract's going to sell, even if I sell for a little bit higher. And so, and they're selling. And so I think we are starting to see that trend. But if you are one of those buyers that you're kind of waiting for it to continue to drop because you know the economy is going to
that ship
dip
has sailed.
Yeah, don't wait for that. I get that all the time. I hear that all the time. Danny, the economy is doing real bad. It's going to take a big turn soon. And so I'm going to wait for that because it's going to continue going down. And I just think you're going to kick yourself. So, watch these reports. That's why we put them out for you, so that you're not part of the woulda, coulda, shoulda club.
Yeah. I look at that and I go, we're going into a big presidential election year. I don't think the bottom's going to be falling out till after that process has happened. Right. I that's just my own 2 cents on it, of a guy who's reading tea leaves and an idiot talking on the YouTube on internet. Right. So that's my take on it. But I think if you're in the market, now is definitely a really good time to kind of jump in and make that thing happen as well.
The nice thing is, because there's always, the buyer's market and then the seller's market. And the cool thing is right now we are selling close to $3 million in points every single week. So what that's saying is, are the prices lower now than they were last year? Hands down, absolutely, because the ROFR Monster is sleeping. But if you need to get rid of your points, if you want to sell, there's still a ton of buyers right now. So your contract's going to sell fast. I mean, 98% of our contracts are selling within 30 days, and like 85% of our contracts are selling within a week, some of them within 24 hours. So if you are a seller, don't get too scared by that, because the contracts are still selling.
Yeah. I mean, what we're seeing here, at least from January, when we were 700-800 points deep into contracts, one of my favorite things to do is to just come over to your listings page and then filter by active listings only. What that does is it comes back in and it takes off all of the listings that have sold within the last 20, 30 days, something along those lines. And when we do that, we can see that there's 440 listings right there on the market right now, 440. But if we come back in and we take that off, what's sold recently, when that thing comes back in and updates, was 640.
Yeah, that's actually, we actually get those off a lot quicker. So it's only about like a couple of weeks of inventory that you're seeing when you uncheck that box.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. And so, Danny, I know you've looked at this where we've come back in and we say, okay, active listings only. In pre-show, we were talking about this so that I didn't have to go through it during the show. But if we come back in here and focus on stuff like the Grand Californian, zero goose eggs, 0,
I
0,
need
0.
your Grand Cal points. There's so many buyers. There's such a high demand. If you are sitting on Grand Cal points and you've just been waiting for a good time to sell, let this be your sign. This is your sign.
Yeah, Boulder Ridge. They just had a phenomenal refurb. Those rooms look amazing.
Yeah, only 15.
And that's dried up as well. Danny, what are some of the other ones we should be looking at here?
Yeah, so we have Boulder Ridge, Grand Cal, Grand Floridian. Go to Grand Floridian. I think there's only 7. Only 7. And if you scroll, they're all pretty high point contracts. There's only a couple that are lower.
Yeah, a 125. Like there's 178 one that's down there at $172 a point. So, and it's a small contract. Everything else is, we got some guaranteed weeks out there, which is a great way to save some cash and not have to fight about bookings
right now.
Yeah. Those are our rare unicorns we like to point out when we see them.
Yeah, that 78 point contract too was just listed a couple days ago, so that'll sell fast. Yeah, but Hilton Head too. Hilton Head and Vero were low on inventory for. And then another big shocker to me was Riviera. I'm like, where are all the Riviera points? I listed a Riviera contract a couple days ago and it sold in one day. I mean, wow. Riviera. And and that's with all those restrictions. When you buy at Riviera, you can only stay at Riviera, but people love Riviera, so they don't care. Yeah, the contract I just posted sold in 24 hours. And Poly as well. We only have 19 Polynesian contracts.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, this is their website. This is how you come back in and do this and start to come back in and shop for some points. I think it's the greatest DVC research sales website out there, which is why I'm, kind of happy we're doing these recap reports live now so that I can stream and show you guys and just how I use this site when I get ready to come back in and look for a contract, or even come back in and do this and say, hey, if I'm going to sell my Copper Creek points right now, which I'm trying not to do, Danny, I'm trying to hold on to them. I always told myself I would come back in and save those points or sell them to buy the Disneyland, but I'm going to try to hold on to them.
I love Copper Creek.
Look at that. There's 24 of those on there. And then I would come back in and I'd say, okay, my use year is February. So Danny, you're killing me here. There's one February contract I have to compete against if I go to sell my February Copper Creek right now. Don't tell my wife, okay?
And guys, utilize the website, like Chad said, because there's so much great information. For those of you that don't know, my entire team, we are all former DVC cast members. We were all former DVC guides. We've sold on both sides, and we're very transparent. Like, we just want you to be as educated as possible so that you can make the best decision for yourself. And that's why, Chad, I love your podcast so much, because you just tell it how it is. And that's how I am. Like, originally from New York, I don't know any other way. So, utilize those blogs. Like, if you search in the search for, keywords, you'll find a ton of great information. And then just all the blogs as well that we post on there have a lot of facts, a lot of numbers that you won't find on any other site, because, we want you to have.
You're so big. You can produce these numbers and they've got some meaning because they've got some volume behind it.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I dig this site. That's why I come here. That's why we started this show like 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. Well, I mean, buying DVC is an emotional thing with family and nostalgia and tradition, but it's also a financial product as well, meaning the numbers have to work on it for me to come back in and get excited about it.
Well, I mean,
and the numbers work for the right people, right? It's a phenomenal product for the right people.
Absolutely. And look, it has to make sense financially. Like, even though it is a luxury product and it's not a necessity, everybody wants a deal. Everybody wants to know that they're getting a good deal. Even Warren Buffett, looks for good deals. So, do your research. Research is king when you're buying and selling DVC.
Well, what puts it in a whole new league from all other timeshares as well, Danny, is there's a vibrant resale market. People want to come. Yeah. They want to come see this mouse. They want to stay on property with this, and they want a piece of ownership. And DVC checks all of those boxes. So not only do you have a vibrant resale market here, you've also got a vibrant rental market as well. And so let's pivot over from here to the most economical resorts to own, because we only get this report coming out about every 6 months. And my buddy Scotty Kaufman is the one who put all of this data together. So let me come back in and add this to the screen, and we'll come back in and talk about this. And you can just find it over here on their blog. If you click right there, you'll see all of these articles, or just Google best economical DVC resort to own. The team does a phenomenal job over there with their SEO and things along this one. So this is what I love about this report is he kind of comes back in and he says, hey, if you were buying your contract today, this is your baseline per point. And we can look at this and go, yeah, your hard cost today to buy resale is about $11.38 a point. And he's doing that by coming back in and going, hey, this was the average sales price. This is how many years are left on the contract. This is what your cost per point is. Here's what the dues. Let's add it all together. Grand Flow still comes out number one, most economical to resort to own.
And for those of you who are really new to all of this, basically what you want to do is compare this to the point chart. Take that point chart. Is it going to be 10 points, a night to stay in the room? So then you take that number per year multiply it by the number of points. And essentially that's how much cash you're paying to stay at a deluxe property at Disney.
Yeah. So if it was 100 points, you'd be essentially paying $1,100 to come back in and stay for that 100-point stay
which
at
is
Disney.
like going to probably get you a studio for about a week, 5 to 7 days.
Yeah, 5 to 7. Well, probably more like 5 at Grand Flow. Now, if you were to take those Grand Flow points and use those over at Saratoga Springs or Old Key West, where your points go farther, now you're really talking about a strategy here to pinch a penny and save some money. Buy the cheap ones on the cost of ownership, spend them at the low point costs like Saratoga and Old Key West. I love that strategy.
Yeah.
But I think we can come back in and look at this and go, hey, most of these are about in the under $12, right? 7 here of the 16 resorts. And then we start to creep over it. And what I hope members do is they look at this and quit giving away your points so cheaply. Like if you have to rent your points, consider this your cost of ownership of these points and kind of a baseline for what they're worth, and hold out for some really good cash because they're worth a lot, because Disney gets about $35 a point when their market rates are on this. So if everybody comes back in and goes, is this a good deal? Well, I don't know. Do you like paying $11.53 for Copper Creek for something that sells for $35 when you buy direct from Disney? Yeah, I think that's a fairly good deal.
Or
like I said,
to the rack rate.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is
cash.
Yeah, if you compare that to the rack rate on these points, it's about $30 to $35 a point. And to me, I can look at this and go, yep, here's the case for DVC is a great deal for the family who's going to come and use their points at a Disney Vacation Club every single year. And I love this data. I love going over it. And it gets me excited to come back in and talk about this and share things with people as to what's going on in the market, and just get you to come back in, do your research, make an educated decision about what's best for your family.
I love that Saratoga is like on the leaderboard.
Isn't it though? It's like good old Saratoga.
I'm a big fan of Saratoga. That's my home resort. I love the refurb there. And I just think that it's a special resort, and it's great for those who, are just starting out and they're really, overwhelmed by all the numbers. And it's like, look, if you just want a low price per point, a really good deed length, low dues, you want a resort that's right next to Disney Springs and that just got a refurb, I just think it's a great resort, and I root for it.
I do. I love all the resorts for their own reasons, but Saratoga is one of the first ones we bought, and I've got a connection there. Got a connection there. So let's come back in and take down our screen as well. So Danny, how can people follow up with you after this show if they want to buy, if they want to sell, if they've got any other questions?
Oh, my members will attest. I work all the time. You can literally contact me all the time. The best way to reach me is actually by text message, iMessage, WhatsApp. My number is 954. It's right there. 954-257-2425. You can text me any day or anytime. The only time I won't answer is if I'm sleeping. And you could also email me if that works better for you at Danny@dvcresalemarket.com. So text me, call me, email me. I'm always available for you. And like I said, I worked direct for many years and resale. I've helped thousands of families. And I love answering all your questions and just helping you. And my best piece of advice, do the research and ask the questions. Like, don't be scared to ask the questions because you have so many resources, myself included. I'm here to help and, use Chad and all of his knowledge. These resources are phenomenal. And there's so many of them now. Back when DVC first started, you didn't have all of these reports and blogs and, YouTubes. So utilize those resources.
And I'm going to come back in and add this over to the screen. And if you just come back over to dvcresalemarket.com, that chat with us button, there's a live agent there. I think Andy, our buddy Andy, is staffing that till like midnight Eastern time.
I do it on the weekends till midnight. I work from 9 a.m. to midnight on the weekends too. So we have buyers and sellers from all over the world. We are the only resale company that's open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to midnight. So we are always there. Yeah, we're always there ready to help you. Oh, and you know what we didn't talk about? Something that's really cool if you're looking to get into DVC for the first time.
Okay, talk to me here.
So one big objection that I always come across is, you know, Danny, I really want to do this, but that's a lot of cash up front. And that's a big hurdle for me. You know, you have people who just, all they want is just the lowest price for a point, the best deal ever. But then it's the fact of the matter is some people just don't want to put all that cash up front. And so we have a new program. There are listings on the website and you can sort it by status. I don't know if you can bring that up, Chad.
So it's a Monera special, and it was called
so if you just go to DVC Resale
Cash
Market,
to Close, right?
Just go to DVC Resale Market and then bring up all the listings.
Okay, so hey, we're doing this like live on the fly here.
Yeah,
So we'll come
I'm
up to
challenging you
listings.
here. Yeah, go to listings, go to status.
And status.
Yep. And then scroll. It should say something like low down payment.
Okay. You see it. There it is. Low down payments. Okay.
So these are all contracts that have been stripped. So you don't have points for 22 or 23, or you have low points in 2023. But maybe, you know, you're the family, you already took your vacation this year, or maybe you travel every 2 or every 3 years and you've always wanted to join DVC, but you just don't want to bring all that cash up front. So you won't have any dues for 2022 or 2023. So that's a huge savings on the money that you're bringing to close. And then now, if you finance through Monera Financial, we also have this really cool program where you can roll most of your closing costs into the loan. So people can get started for as little as $2,000 down, which is, it's significant. It is, you know, a huge difference now. And so if you've always been eyeing it, but that cash to close has been an issue for you, now we have a program for it.
Yeah, that is kind of awesome news. And
super excited about that.
I did not create a tab for that. So thank you for reminding me on that one as well. It's a new Monera Cash to Close program. The essence of it is if you're buying a stripped contract, you don't have to bring dues to the table, because if you're buying a contract where you're getting the 2023 dues, you got to pay for you got to pay that seller back at the closing table for what they paid into their dues. If the points are gone, the seller's used them, you don't have to pay for something that the seller used because you're not getting the benefit of it. So this program is a great way to come back in and make things more achievable for people that might need a little bit of extra help doing it. So thanks for pointing that out, Danny.
Yeah.
And as well, thank you for joining us, Danny at DVC Resale Market. Hopefully you guys learned something in today's show that'll help you go out there and plan something magical and purchase something magical for your family. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great night.